Not gonna lie, this one kind of feels like a knife in the back. Kind of just sat with this one for a long while because it doesn't feel great. It feels like there's something that happened here with someone that you trusted, that was not so swell. And I think that, you came out of it all right, um, better than anyone would have expected. Given the circumstances. um, I kind of want some more information about like what happened here, because I think that this was like a situation that was supposed to be a really good thing. I think that this was a situation that you managed to turn into a good thing, and I think that like you honestly may be so focused on like maintaining the emotional stability required to successfully navigate the situation that you aren't even necessarily seeing what happened as sabotage. I think that you are seeing it as, I took an opportunity to, you know, stick by my morals, and I was unexpectedly surprised at the stability that resulted. Um, and I think that in a lot of ways, this has actually left you feeling like empowered with this King of Pentacles, like both about like your physical, sense of stability and your like spiritual attunement. Because I think that like you navigated this situation via intuition. Um, and I think that like you surprised yourself with how well you did that. Um, and so I kind of want to know like why are they drawing my attention back to kind of this like part of it that feels Three of Swords, like the part of it that feels hurtful. Um, Justice. Okay. Three of Swords, Justice, Two of Wands, Judgment, the Lovers. Um, I think it's almost like even if you weren't negatively impacted by this in that it did not undermine your overall physical stability, it did not undermine your trust in spirit, it did not undermine your emotional stability. If anything, I think that you like really honed in on like fortifying these skills and like overcoming the challenges with that like King of Wands, and Six of Wands there. Like you ace this shit. It's like, but it still hurt. It's almost like you you're strong enough to take it, but that doesn't make it right with justice. Like it doesn't make it fair, and it doesn't make it well intentioned. Um, and I think that there's something here with that like Two of Wands, Judgment, and the Lovers is like moving forward. Um, I think that, there's gonna be like kind of this natural sense of balancing with the energy. And I think if you take for granted um what really happened, and like you take for granted how you were treated on like an objective level, um taking away what you did with it, taking away how you handled it, like just looking at someone else's behavior, um that was some nasty stuff. And I think that there may be some instances of both you and other people coming face to face with the consequences of your actions, be they good or bad, be they honorable or not. Um, and I think that there's a message from Spirit here that's, like very, very kind, but like very, very clear in that you cannot take away the consequences of other people's actions. Um, and it's wrong to try and hurt people, even if you're not successful. It may be that, someone got a knife in their back and they're like fucking Wolverine and they can just insta heal. Um, Still doesn't mean it's right to stab people with knives, especially not people you trust enough to turn your back to. Um, and I think that, there may be some reckoning. And I think that there also may be some blessings, and I think that there's also a message here about Spirit wanting you to give yourself credit not just for what you did, but for what you did given the situation that you were in. It's almost like you are judging other people's actions based on the context and impact, like contextualizing them based on the impact that they had on you. Meanwhile, you're working like double time to mitigate any of the impact that they had on you. And then you're like, look, see, it's all good. It's all good. It's like, no, like you don't get to decide what the intention was based on how well you heal from or avoid negative impacts of someone's actions. Um, but you also need to give yourself credit for the fact that, like, I think a lot of the things that you've done and the stability that you've maintained through this is, it's quite impressive. Like with this spread we had coming out first with, the King of Pentacles and the King of Wands, with the Ten of Pentacles and the Six of Wands, like, that's a pat on the back right there, devoid of context. But when you add in the context that you were kind of getting stuck from multiple angles, um, where it hurts or where it should have hurt, um, and the fact that you stayed balanced and that you stayed aligned and that you came out successful it's all the more impressive. It's all the more impressive, and you need to give yourself some credit for that. And understand that like there will be some blessings that come in that are, if you don't take that into consideration, they may feel like too good to be true. It may feel overwhelming, but it's like you're getting what you get because you deserve it. I don't know why I had trouble saying that. I think that like whoever's energy this is, like you have a hard time feeling like you deserve good things. You feel like you have to work through sabotage and betrayal and like dig yourself out of the bottom of a hole that someone else put you in order to be on the same level as everyone else. And it's like everyone else didn't have to, you know, climb out of a 6 foot hole that someone tried to bury them in. They were just starting the race at the starting line. But you still won. You still won. Um, so I'd like a little bit more information about like what's kind of coming in on the horizon, because this feels like very much like a you might want to know because things are going to be happening. Nine of Cups, the Emperor, the Tower. What did I say about things coming in suddenly? The Six of Swords and the Page of Swords. So I think that there are some things that have been going around in your head that maybe you told yourself like was just in your head. Um, Something that you wanted, something that with this Nine of Cups is like a kind of like a personal wish fulfillment. Something that, maybe you felt was like a little bit self-indulgent, but something that makes you really happy. Um, and I think that it's something that is somewhat like represented by this Emperor card, which, that can be like an actual person that kind of embodies that divine masculine archetype, very action oriented, sitting in their own power, moving with authority and having an understanding of how to like wield that responsibly. That can also just be like a strong confirmation as far as like being able to take inspired action on something that really means something to you. We also got the Ace of Cups here. So I think that for a decent amount of people, this may be like a little emotional and or love related. But it's gonna hit hard and fast. And the thing about like tower energy is like a lot of times people are like, oh no, the tower. I love the tower. I love like sudden changes, like let's break it all down, break down the illusions, because like that's the thing is, like when that kind of like tower energy comes, it's not breaking down anything that was really meant to last. It's not ending the journey. It's just clearing the path so that like what is meant to come in can come in. And if you are already prepared for what is meant to come in, if you are already stable, if you are already attuned to your guides, and moving forward in alignment, it's like that tower coming, that's like a blessing. That's again, it's just clearing the path for you. But if you're someone who's been, like ignoring your intuitive sense, who's been, acting in ways that are not honorable or sustainable, if you're in the highest floor, the tallest tower, when it comes crashing down, that's going to hurt. And I think like that's kind of why they're like giving it this way, because like you have been doing the work, and you don't need to like feel bad if things change somewhat rapidly and you handle it a little bit better than the people around you. I think that that will be a confirmation for you in terms of like your energy and the role that you played in past situations. Because I think that you may be like gaslighting yourself a little bit. Again, with like that Six of Swords, like Page of Swords, like, oh, like it wasn't really that bad, or like gaslighting yourself with your own success, like, oh well, like look, I did XYZ, or I accomplish XYZ, or like look at how well I'm doing now, so clearly it couldn't have been that bad. It was. And you're gonna see that because you have been like building up so much strength through these experiences to the point that this tower falling is gonna be like a good time. And is gonna bring in something or someone that we got the Nine of Cups and the Ace of Cups. That's 10 cups right there. That's a divine bliss kind of connection, either with a person or with a part of yourself. Um, and when that kind of like emotion and that kind of connection, revelation, like really hits you, it hits you hard. But if you're already coming at it from a place of stability, of satisfaction, of joy, it's like that's a good thing. That's a good thing. And I think, it allows you to like get out of your head, both in what you've been wishing for, daydreaming about, but also in like what you've been doubting yourself about, what you've been going around in circles about. Like it will be made clear. It will be made clear. So is there anything else this collective needs to know about this situation? The Wheel of Fortune. Hell yeah. I love the Wheel of Fortune. King of Cups, Nine of Wands. I feel like there's one more. Queen of Swords. It's been a long wait. It's been a long wait. And there's this sense of like divine favor, and this sense of very much like uniting your mind and your heart, and like Four of Wands on the bottom, like uniting them in a really positive way, like not bringing those two things together to get yourself out of a situation, to handle this, not just, no, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. It's like you're going to need your brain and your heart in order to figure out how to even handle this. Um, it's going to be something that I think is well worth the wait. And I think that you're going to feel tremendously lucky, is what I'm hearing. So hopefully that helps. We got the High Priestess on the bottom, so or is he that one? It's just like if you know, you know. If it resonates, it resonates. And congratulations. Best of luck with this.